Hello, my name is Alan, and today I am facilitating a session. This is the second of 3 sessions. I might have said 4 last time. The second of 3 sessions of Against the Dark Conspiracy, my own game of supernatural espionage with mechanics that have their roots all the way back in Cthulhu Dark and in a setting that is close to Night's Black Agents, because we are confronting the vampire conspiracy in this series. The player characters are all competent former professionals in the espionage crime spheres that often overlap. They are all damaged by their experience, and they are all blown or busted or thrown out of their previous agencies and employments for believing, bizarrely, that vampires exist. This story picks up from a previous story in which somebody was rescued. We'll fill in the details as we go. Check the previous episode for the details. I do want to say that my pronouns are he, him, and this game, like all my online games, was organized as part through the Gauntlet community calendar. Don't know about the Gauntlet, search Gauntlet-RPG and come find us, come play with us, because it's great. And we think we got a nice table culture. I've played with all these players before, so and I know they're all experienced Gauntleteers. But I will just say for the thousands of public watching that this game makes use of layered safety tools. So currently, I'm just checking out we are playing with lines, i.e. stuff that won't come up in the fiction, on sexual assault and violence, harm to children, homophobia, racism, sexism, infection and plague as a major plot point. We are excluding from that the idea of, infection by vampires, I think. But also a line on peril to pregnant women and infants. And we currently have lines on consensual sex, domestic violence, torture by PCs and by NPCs, and harm to animals. If there's anything else anyone wants to add, they know they can, and I will check in at intervals to see that. We have a content warning because this is a game in which bad things can happen, and even our heroes are not always nice. So we have content warnings on vampires and their lore, horror, gore, tension between PCs, intimacy between PCs, verbal abuse between PCs, physical abuse between PCs, not formal PvP, but there is a move in the game which could end up with somebody punching somebody. Drug and alcohol abuse, verbal abuse of NPCs by PCs, physical abuse of NPCs by PCs, and intimacy between PCs and NPCs. Not always nice people, damaged by their previous history. So that's the pitch of the game. That we're also playing with. We're playing with the open door. So if something comes up, people walk away. Equally, if this turns out not to be the game they want to be in, there's no obligation to stay. That applies to all of us. And the X card. So if something does come up in the fiction that makes any of the players uncomfortable, I will invite them to play the X card. The best way to do it is to get my attention that way. Alternatively, type it into the chat, the Zoom chat. If other players I don't notice in the chat, I would be grateful if someone drew my attention to it. I will not ask why someone has played the X card. I may ask how far back in the fiction they want me to rewind, so we can play forward, avoid that material or whatever it made somebody uncomfortable, and play forward without it. And let me stress, just because something came up last time or earlier in a session, and somebody felt they were fine with it, doesn't mean that they can't play the X card later on when it comes up again, because they kind of think, actually, I'm not okay with it. And anything that is uncomfortable. I always quote the example of somebody playing the X card when I named an NPC after a relative of theirs, and the NPC started doing difficult things, and that was uncomfortable for them. So we just changed the name. Okay, it's easy. There we are. I think that kind of summarizes, I think, where I need to get to. I am increasingly, I should say we are playing with the Gauntlet Community Code of Conduct. Sorry, no brainer. I also tend to think of Stars and Wishes, which is the debrief we'll do at the end as a safety tool, to be honest. Okay, with all that in mind then, Now we have a new player joining us, so I'm going to come to Lyra last. But let me start. Donna, say hello, tell us about your pronouns, and introduce us to Yelena I can never say this, Pushkina.
I've chosen her patronymic just as a kind of shibboleth for us. Sorry, Alan. My name is Donna. My pronouns are he, him. Excited to play Yelena Pushkina, who I guess I had played in a previous life of this game, in a past life of this game a couple of years ago. She is an assassin, and she engaged in wet work for the Russian SVR. And I guess also for the conspiracy itself. She was neck deep in their affairs until they betrayed her. They, for some reason or another, felt that they couldn't trust her anymore. And yeah, we can't be having that.
Great, thank you. And I will just check in that your anchor, the person in the real world rather than the conspiracy world that is important to you when you want to protect, you need to protect, is an older sister who is currently of interest to the conspiracy, shall we say, but they have not yet connected her to you precisely. Okay, let's move to Mari. Say hello, tell us about your pronouns, and introduce us to Camille Cam Duchamp.
Hi, my name is Mari. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm playing Cam Duchamp. I also played her in the one-shot that led into this campaign. She's a hacker. She formerly worked for the signals intelligence branch of the French DGSE before getting kicked out for pushing too hard to investigate what turned out to be vampires, and that drew her into the current world that she is now in.
And just to check, your anchor in the real world is also a sister who currently is completely unknown to the conspiracy.
Yes.
But I do just want to check in that your stress is currently 5.
Yeah.
Another stress and you will crack. So you might want to consider inserting a seek relief from the horror
yes,
move
I think
of
I
some
would like to do that
kind
soon.
In the near future.
Yes.
And just to say that, let me just share this just so our players know who's playing what. There is Yelena, and there is Cam Duchamp. Both dangerous and gorgeous, the pair of them, I have to say. So let me come to our new player. Thanks for joining, Lyra, at relatively short notice when we had a player withdraw. The joy of the gauntlet, the open table.
No worries.
Say hello, tell us about your pronouns, and introduce us to Susan McLoed. Are you McLeod? Am I getting that right?
Yes, McLeod. Yes, I am Lyra. I use she, her, or they, them pronouns. And yeah, really looking forward to playing with you all. And yeah, I'm playing Susan McLoed, who is sometimes referred to by her previous rank of inspector. She was a Scottish detective in the Edinburgh CID, specialising in organised crime, and got forced to take early retirement when one of the criminal organizations she was investigating turned out to show incontrovertible evidence of vampire activity.
And can I just say, has to be the most elegantly turned out former detective I've ever had in this game. Before I blew her up, I assumed it was Helen Mirren, but that's a great picture. I like that.
I do not know. I simply Googled glamorous older woman.
And you got one. You got one. So fine. Now you are not currently in the scene, so I'm going to pick up the scene because we left this on something of a cliffhanger. We have just checked in to make sure that those of us who were here last time are in the right place in the fiction. But the situation is this. The team's driver, Sophia, who's not with us tonight, is in the front of a delivery van and has arranged the delivery van in such a way to stop the armored limo carrying 3 people. Well, more than 3, but the 3 people that we're interested in. In there is someone called Eva Haflich, who is the team's mole. They turned her into a mole last week. Her boss at a Bucharest club, a Dragos Albescu, and a creepy scientist, Dr. Karine Axelsson. They're in the back of this armored limo. In the front of this armored limo is former Russian assassin, still Russian and quite an assassin, Yelena, and a driver, the limo driver, that we discovered at the end of last session is not entirely mortal. There is certainly something about him that is not right, and we'll explore that in a moment. In the back of the delivery van, we have Cam Deschamps with all her equipment, with which she's been spoofing not just the limo, but also the lead and follow SUVs that were escorting it. She has spoofed their sat-nav. So they are currently away from the limo. But I have warned the team that they are not very far away. So time is a factor here. And also the player who will be joining us tonight, but has something on until about 30 minutes time. Jimmy, who is the intrusion expert, who was all set to roll up the side of the delivery van, break into the armored limo, and I think kidnap at least one person. That was the plan. What happens next? Well, Yelena, you took a shot at the guy in the front seat, and I can tell you that you did harm. You draw blood. Whatever is supernatural, we know that he has glowing eyes, or eyes that see in the dark, conceivably, and we know that he's going to be very strong, because when you took a shot at him, he was able to just grab your hand. You know that he's very strong. So he is supernatural, but I have not yet declared that he regenerates damage. And the couple of shots you got off that grazed his forehead and cheek in that initial exchange demonstrate, I think, that he is not regenerating and therefore is vulnerable to mundane weapons. But you did declare last time that he has, he's attracted in some way to your scent. Tell me why you pitched that.
I mean, as a player, right? Because it made my life very interesting, right? And it's a way of introducing this secret, which I guess the other characters at least don't know about yet. I guess maybe how I realized this at the time, obviously apart from the suspicion that it's true from our previous research, is, you know, maybe while he was driving, he was looking over at me, and I could kind of see the thoughts on his face that he knew there was something about me, but didn't quite put 2 and 2 together. Right.
Because it is fair to say that you are dressed as one of the tactical support that are in those lead and follow cars. You are the person in the immediate protection in the limo. So I think that we will pick up where we left off, which is Yelena shoots at this guy. There's a struggle in front of the car. Shots go off. He is hurt but not killed. And then as there is this struggle, that is it a cross, Star of David? What symbol is it? Orthodox cross? I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's a Russian Orthodox crucifix hanging around Yelena's neck.
Okay, so that is going to act as a deterrent next round. Deterrents are not a force field, but it will put him off his game slightly in the next round if we get that far. So, go on.
Yeah, I mean it's hidden, so maybe like I wouldn't have had it showing because it's like a big no-no, right? So I think, if he grabs me, it comes loose or it falls out of my collar, that kind of thing.
Exactly. And so we're going to have this close combat in the front of a limo. Cam, I think you will probably see that as Jimmy rolls the roller blind up, the roller door in the side of the van up with this intention that you declared last time, you will just see these little stars appear in the window, the armored window on the driver's side. Clearly, shots are going off in there. Though the glass is tinted, you know that there are shots going off. And then Jimmy freezes. He freezes and he throws himself back against the far side of the van, away from the door, and adopts the fetal position. What do you do, Cam?
All right. I'm going to... You said I can spend intel to drop stress?
1 for 1.
All right, I'm going to spend 1 for 1 then.
Okay.
Get myself down to 4, so I'm not as bad off.
You are 1 step back from the precipice.
Yes. Then I'm going to... Can I use my various things I've hacked in the car to try to unlock their door?
Oh, that's an interesting suggestion. Yes, I think that's doable because we know you got into their comms. I think it depends. I think I'm prepared for the inside because we kind of pitched this at this kind of slightly Cold War armored limo, but clearly it's had some electronic upgrades. So yeah, that's a cool one. So I think this is rolling to do something else. I think that you have expertise, so it's gray dice on the orange dice. It is the green dice if you would like it. If you'd like to include your stress dice.
No, I'm gonna try to stay at 4 for a bit.
Well, I wish you well. Oh, look at that. A 5 and a 6, I'm seeing.
Yes.
So that goes brilliantly. You lot were rolling 6 all last time. So on a 6, you succeed brilliantly. Control will agree with you what extra benefit you get, but mark intel now. That was worth spending.
Yeah.
So what extra benefit? So I think what we'll see is, click, 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 those little kind of poppers on the inside of the car will pop up. But what extra benefit do you want?
What would be useful?
Feel free to throw it to the table.
Either you have ideas for useful things?
I mean, if I was going to be extravagant, I might suggest that the limo is set up for remote piloting.
Oh, this just became Mission Impossible. Yes, I am prepared for you to have got into the driver controls. So it could be piloted remotely. Gee whiz. But I think that this is a little bit, because Jimmy's supposed to deal with all of this. And I think that's why Cam is a bit shaken. So yes. Cam, would you roll for stress, please?
Sure.
And the good thing about stress being high is it reduces the chance of it going up.
Yeah.
See, 4. I told you, not a problem. So it is the same as your current stress. Stress doesn't go up.
Okay.
So yeah, you now could kind of with a small joystick, or how does you tell me? How are you going to control this car? What does this look like? What does the gizmo look like?
I'm going to say it's a little wheel like from some sort of video game that's connected into her laptop, and
that's when you hear a shot impact the front cab window, and Sophia, all you hear from Sophia is Sophia goes, "Ugh." Let me go to Susan McLoed. Now, the joy of this game, say so myself, is that everybody knows everyone already. So for whatever reason, Susan, either you are the team backup that we just haven't seen on screen yet, or maybe you're interested in what's going on in an entirely parallel investigation, or perhaps even rather less likely, you happen to be walking the back streets of Bucharest one night when all hell breaks loose. So what's going to put you in this scene, Susan McLoed?
I think the first thing that we see is a figure outlined against a bare bulb in a window, quite high up, and you see some binoculars swing around and focus on the scene below as I hear the shots, and I've been staking out some vampire activity, not necessarily related, or maybe related, up to you, Alan. Staking out some suspected vampire activity when I notice this, and I think I recognize the limo.
Fine, and I don't mind if you recognize the driver of the delivery van either.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I recognize both.
You're all going to be members of this informal network of true believers who have convinced one another that vampires exist. Okay, so what are you going to do when you see this going on? And yes, the roller door in the side of the van is up, but you're expecting a bunch of black-clad special ops guys to leap out of the van and kind of do something, but nothing happens.
So I think I watch for a few seconds just in case they've just missed their cue, and then I swear under my breath and walk. I think I walk out of the kind of empty apartment that I'm holed up in, and down the elevator, which I've kept. I think I've kept something jammed into the door of the elevator so it's open on my floor.
And if this was any other character, they would be running to the fire escape or something. But Susan, there is the clip clop of high heels as she makes her way down the hall of this rundown Bucharest low rise to the elevator. Fine. Back in the front of the limo, Yelena, what are you going to do? So you will have noticed click, 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 click.
So sorry, I've just put 2 rounds into this guy's face, and he doesn't seem as badly off as I might expect. Or
the way that this works is that you have applied stress, so you have done some harm, but you've not put 2 holes in the front of his forehead.
Sure, yeah. So I mean, dare I suggest that I am, I guess, leaning away from. I guess I'm sitting here. The gun is facing this way. So now with a little bit of extra time, I'm going to put my back to the door, put my feet in his general direction, and continue to apply some hot-leaded action.
Okay. Before we do that, I just remembered I do need to have you roll for a harmful consequence from the outcomes of the previous shot, don't I? So.
Oh yeah. So
I'd forgotten.
I got a 6 on one of those wrist dice, right?
You just note. So yes, that's why. So you got a 6, which was equal to or higher than the best you rolled. So as well as succeeding, you are at risk of a harmful consequence. You roll 1d6, and because it is a supernatural, you subtract 1 from the result.
Okay, sorry. For some reason, I thought that the roll for the risk was all tied into this table.
Sorry,
no,
it leads us to
separate rolls.
Okay. Yeah.
So I'll just roll these wrist die.
A 6.
6. Okay.
Down by 1 to 5. 4+. You were lucky this time. It hurts, but you'll live. But on a natural 6, mark intel. And then roll for stress.
Okay.
Get intel. No too much. Roll for stress. Stress is fine.
Okay.
Okay. So sorry, that was just tidying that up. So now let's move to this round of action. You have expertise. You have your deadly capacity, and so you're rolling the 3 middle dice. Do you want to roll the stress dice as well?
I think I'm gonna stay away from stress right now.
Okay. Because he is now deterred by the flash of your holy symbol,
Yeah.
he's only rolling, or you're rolling for him, 2 risk die rather than the 3 he deserves.
Sure. So I'm rolling the 3 from the middle and 2 from the bottom.
Yeah.
So 5. Okay.
Oh, look at that. So on a 5, you again do some harm. He is either resistant to harm, or he is squirming out of the way. So you haven't managed to, center and mass him yet. But that does apply stress. You could mark your specialism to turn that from a 5 outcome to a 6 outcome and apply 2 stress. If you wanted to, you get to do that once per. Oh no, sorry, no, yeah, you didn't use it last time, so yeah, that's available to you.
That costs stress.
It does.
Okay, so maybe what I will do is I will mark one of those intels to get that stress right back down. And I think this is something like, just like in training, or when we took out that cell of rival vampires, in Turkey or wherever nearby, right? It's just a little bit of extra training to solve this problem. Okay.
So you've ticked it. That means you apply 2 stress. This guy had 4 stress to take. How does his death look? What do we see?
So
you have
I don't think we have seen any dead vampires or close to yet on screen. So I think this is going to be like for the first second, nothing special. And then I think we see these kind of the veins go black, and then it just spreads out to be like, like one of those time-lapse videos of the, bacteria spreading through an organism. It's going to look like this really sped up natural process of death and decay.
And that red blood that was coming from his just turned slowly black. Fine. We know how these kind of servitors die now. Cam, Jimmy is still. What are you going to do? Yelena, do you shout anything through the radio or what? I'm curious.
I think Yelena's last words were to Jimmy, berating him for not alerting her to the fact that on the trip in he had been sitting next to a supernatural creature. So yeah, I think that kind of slightly deadpan professionalism comes back into my voice, and it's scratch 1, Servitor.
Okay, so Cam, looks like Yelena's dealt with whatever's in the front of this. What are you going to do now?
All right, I'm gonna ask Yelena what's going on in the back of the limo, assuming Jimmy saw something. And then, so we have Drago, Eva,
Karine, Axelsson, and Eva.
Axelsson in the back. 3 of them. As far as we know, that's all in the back.
I think you're confident of that, because certainly that's what Yelena will have reported when she replaced Jimmy in the front seat.
Yes. And did something happen to our driver?
Yes, there was a shot. You heard it distinctly. Maybe there's the tinkle of glass and a noise from Sophia going, "Ugh."
All right, so I'm gonna ask her on the comms. Sophia, are you still there?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Maybe,
Then
you know she's alive, but she's not capable.
she's not going to be driving.
No.
That's not good.
While you think about what you want to do next, having kind of had that kind of quick think about, Susan, you're at street level.
So I don't have far to walk till I reach my probably kind of 70s, 80s vintage sports car. And I get into the driver's seat, and first thing I do is reach into the glove compartment, pull out a service revolver, and check the chambers quickly, and then place it underneath my coat on the passenger seat.
Fine. And where are you going in this 1960s sports car? I now have to look up 1970s sports cars.
I'm imagining something with that very kind of like angular styling.
Yeah.
And I am heading towards this confrontation, this operation that's potentially going wrong, that I spotted down on street level.
Fine. Well, I without even trying, I've come up with a Jaguar SJX.
Why not?
Let's just insert an image there. Hopefully this URL works. Yes, it does. There we are. I've popped it in the bottom of Susan's character sheet down there below notes.
Nice. Fantastic.
Has that appropriately 1970s look.
Yes.
And also has the advantage you might get more than two people in it, if it comes to that. So with that in mind, there's the throaty roar of a Jaguar SJS round the corner, and it approaches the junction. Susan, I will tell you that you notice a sinister black SUV cross behind you, as though trying to find its way back to where it's supposed to be, just for effect. So, Yelena, I think you are more likely to spot this in the front of the limo than Cam in the back of the limo. But you see this XJS kind of rolling down the street. What do you do, Yelena?
I mean, unless I recognize Susan at this kind of distance, I imagine this is just a civilian driving down the wrong road at the wrong time of day, right?
It is. I think it is being suspiciously driven, because it doesn't look like it's just rolling up to, it doesn't look like it's just traveling along. It looks like a very distinctive piece of driving. You could roll to investigate, and I might then tell you that you can spot Susan.
Okay. So this, unless we think tradecraft has anything to do with it, it's just one guy.
I think it's probably just a straight grey dice and a stress die if you want it.
I'll just roll my standard.
Okay. Yeah. You don't know who's it, but you recognize the car, because Susan McLoed and that car are like this.
So there's no way we're leaving this one behind, huh?
Well, it would be a tragic loss for Susan, because they don't grow on trees, certainly not in Bucharest. Cam, let me come back to you. That's the picture. What are you going to do?
She's going to get up from her laptop, grab her trank gun, and open the door on the limo and just shoot the first person who's inside the door. You're muted.
Thank you. If you would like to select trank gun from the equipment list, I think it's only, is it 1 or 2?
I think it's 2. All right.
Oh yeah, because it's bulky, it's.
Oh yeah, it did.
So yeah, let's have you do that. So pull the door open and shoot somebody. Let's have you confront the conspiracy then, and have you try to take them out. And I'm gonna make this random.
All
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
So we'll work out what effect you have, and then I'll tell you who on.
Sounds good.
Does that work?
Yeah.
And if
Because
you
she's
get
just shooting whoever's there.
okay, if this goes really well, you get to choose.
All
So so this is, you're shooting something, you have expertise in that. So gray and orange are on the table.
Mhm.
You can use the green dice if you like. I don't think you are currently at risk,
All
but
right.
you might be next time.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave the stress die off. Oh,
You guys are killing me. That's a pair of 6s. If only 2 mattered more than 1.
yeah.
But on a 6, so who do you want to have tranquilized? Eva?
I'm gonna go.
Dragos or Karine Axelsson?
I'm gonna go with Dragos. He seems the most likely to be violent.
Okay, so Dragos Albescu, you hit him, and because it's it's fiction, this takes no time to act at all. Yeah.
Yeah.
Susan, you can, stuff has happened. You can see that there is a hole in the front windshield where someone has shot the driver of this van, and you recognize that limo as related to an investigation you are separately pursuing in Bucharest.
Mhm.
What do you want to do, Susan?
So I think at this point I'm on the other side of the limo to where Cam is.
Fine.
And so I think I get straight involved. I think I see Cam going in with the trank gun. And so I open the door on the other side, and I hit the first person I see with the butt of my pistol.
Okay, so you are wanting to wanting to take them down, but not necessarily take them out. Okay.
Yes, because I've seen it's a trank gun, so I'm kind of inferring that the goal of this operation is not necessarily to kill everyone.
Fine. So let's have you then roll. You're rolling the grey dice in the middle. You're rolling the orange expertise dice because all of you have expertise in shooting things. You can include the green stress dice if you want to increase your chance. I think you are at risk because the people in there now know that one, the doors are open, and 2, they are under attack. So I'm going to ask you to roll the furthest left risk dice, that pale pink risk dice.
Yep. What? Oh yeah, there we go. And yes, I am rolling my stress die because I don't have much stress yet. So let's see.
Okay,
Ooh.
so on a 4, what it says, you succeed with no obvious complications or benefits. So you knock somebody out. Yeah, now I'm going to roll, I'll roll the deadly dice just to see who that is. Odd, it's Eva Haflich. Even, it's Karine Axelsson. You put down Dr. Axelsson. Axelsson goes down in a heap. Eva is pressed. Where's the safe place? Both the side doors are opened. They're shooting in the front of the car. I think she is huddled on the ground, as low down in this spacious back of a limo as she can be, is Eva. But yes, you just knocked out Karine Axelsson. And Yelena, what about you? Oh, go on.
Does my risk die do anything?
Yes. Thank you. Well spotted. You rolled a 6. You are at risk of a harmful consequence. She is not a nameless pawn. She is not a leader of a group of nameless pawns, but neither is she supernatural. So you are rolling a straight d6. High would be good. Thanks for the reminder.
Okay. Should I just roll the same risk die?
It could, you know, I mean, what's the chance of it coming up 1?
Let's roll that.
There you
Up to
go.
5.
5. 4 plus. You were lucky this time. It hurts, but you'll live. So maybe, you know, maybe she kicked you before she went down.
Yeah.
But not a problem. So Yelena, both the back doors have opened. There's the kind of a trank gun, and then this XJS pulls up alongside. The elegant Susan McLoed steps out, opens the door, and you see a boop. What are you going to do, Yelena?
I guess I'm going to get out of the front of the limo, and I'm going to put like one hand up because I'm in like, you know, essentially full tactical gear, so I wouldn't necessarily expect Susan to react well to me, given that I look like one of the bad guys.
Fair point.
And then I'm just going to shut the door behind. I guess we all know that Cam would have been set up to drive the limo remotely. So I guess the new plan is take Eva, take the doctor, lamp into the Jaguar or the van or whatever, and then have the limo pull off in its own direction and us drive the opposite way.
Yeah, I'm going to play my last complication. Where did they come from? There's a more or less mortal threat on site at a level above what the briefing suggested. So I am now going to have the follow and lead cars close on your location. So, so Dragos and Karine Axelsson into the back of the XJS in a pile or into the van?
Do we care about Dragos? I think we've like gone up, right? So I think I'm going to put a bullet in his brain pan in the back of the limo, close the door, and then we're going to drag the doctor into the Jag.
And what about Eva Haflich, your mole in the conspiracy?
Yeah, she's coming with us, I guess.
Okay. So you're going to extract them all.
I'm only so heartless, you know.
Okay. I'm glad we didn't ask Cam, because I think Cam would have said, "Well, just tidy up the loose end."
Yeah, I guess I am. I realize Jimmy is going to arrive very soon, and if we just said, "Oh, we left her behind," like we'll get a torrent of abuse.
Okay, so that puts Susan in the driver's seat of the XJS with Dragos, with Karine Axelsson in the back. Yelena, are you getting in the back? Are you getting in the XJS with Susan?
Yeah, I think maybe it's a bit of a crowd. Maybe we take the van. I don't know what the
Susan.
There's going to be 6 of us, right?
Is the van recognizable at this point? Is the van's cover more blown than the XJS?
I think that didn't we say it was a UPS van?
Yeah, or DHL or something.
I think the fact that where did they come from? We're going to have a car chase, guys.
Yep.
Somehow.
I think that given that I can see that Sophia is incapacitated and that there's more people than will fit in the XJS, and neither Cam is occupied, and I know Yelena's not an expert driver. I think I just mutter to myself, be the 5th parking ticket this month, and then lock the XJS, and I think I think help Yelena get everyone into the van and then get behind the driver's seat.
Push Sophia over into the passenger seat and get in the van. Okay.
Yeah.
So everyone's back in the van, and Susan takes off. Now there is a move called "Flee for Your Lives." So I think, Susan, let's have you flee for your life, and we'll see where that gets us before we take a break. It's on the
Hey,
basic moves tab. So
let's have a look.
you have vehicles. You're rolling this because you're the driver. So you have vehicles. That gives you the gray dice and the orange dice. You can
Yep.
have the stress dice if you'd like it.
Oh, go for it.
There you go. 3 dice.
Okay, so stress, great. Orange. Whoa. That is a 5. Glad I went with the stress dice.
Yeah, and it's on the stress dice, so stress goes up automatically. On a 5, you get away clean unless control chooses to spend heat to maintain the pursuit and forces you to flee for your life. I am, because I've got some heat in hand, I think. Yeah, I'm going to spend 1 heat to have one of these follow cars see what's happening and accelerate swiftly after you. So they've worked out what they should be following. Cam, is there anything you want to do to conceivably interfere with the other follow car?
I was hoping I could use the limo and my control of it to get it in the way of the other car.
Let's have you see how that goes, shall we? Now, you are going to be using, this would be vehicles expertise rather than any hacking.
Right.
So I don't think you have vehicles expertise. So you're rolling the gray dice. And I think success would probably mean that you can head off one of the 2 SUVs. Does that seem fair?
Sounds good.
And we'll worry about what phenomenal success might look like. So you're just rolling the gray dice unless you want to include the stress dice.
No stress.
Okay, go for it.
All right. Yeah, I got a 4.
So on a 4, that's a simple success. So yeah, I think how do you use the limo to take out one of these 2 SUVs?
I'm gonna try to run it off the road into a concrete embankment, say.
And that Bucharest must have them scattered everywhere. And so, yeah, I think that probably in my mind's eye, I'm seeing this rather boxy UPS van and these 2 converging SUVs, sinister SUVs, probably with a guy about to lean out the window and take a pot shot at the back of the van. And then out of nowhere comes the limo. I hear veers and bang, crash. I think that's going to take the limo out.
Sounds good.
And probably in a fireball that will dispose of Albescu's remains and the remains of our supernatural driver. So you see that in the rearview mirror, Susan. You've got 1 SUV to outdrive. Yelena, what, if anything, do you think you can do at this point?
Well, I mean, I came heavy, and I must have come heavy for a reason. So I'm looking at this rather tempting piece of equipment called Squad Light Machine Gun.
I just assumed you'd be looking at a rocket-propelled grenade, but go ahead.
I can't shoot that out of the back of a van because that will kill people in the van. So, sorry to introduce some realism. I'm ruining things for everyone now. So yeah, I think there's a tarpaulin over this bulky thing. I take it off, and it's yeah, ho ho ho! Now I have a machine gun.
And so we've discovered not only is there a single side roller, there's a full width rear roller on this van.
I mean, DHL are professionals. They never know what they need to get in or out of their vans.
Absolutely. So yeah, so I up it goes, and cut to a view from the follow car as look on the road. Says, is that a go for it?
So expertise, standard, and deadly.
Oh yeah, deadly. Whenever you want to try and kill things, deadly counts, Yelena. And stress dice if you want it.
No stress dice, I think.
I did say that one of them was leaning out the window about to take a shot at you. So I think there is a small risk. So you're rolling a single risk dice.
Okay. And I wonder, do I get a bonus die? Oh, I don't get a bonus die for heavy because I already get a bonus die for deadly, right?
Oh, look at that. That's a 6.
and
What
going
does
on
that
the risk.
What does that 6 look like? I didn't ask you what you were intending to happen, so now you can just tell me with knobs on because it's a 6.
I think this is going to be. I mean, the warranty will be void on this SUV, and I think they're professionals. They probably have a bullet resistant setup. So the first couple of rounds that hit the windscreen, just impact. But then I've got like a 200 round box next to this light machine gun. I'm just emptying it in there, and it just punches it out, and then they're toast.
And car spins off into the darkness. Whoosh.
Yeah, I mean, I think as the driver is not insane. I think he maybe starts to slow down and swerve ahead, but I just do the same with the side windows, and then whatever they're toast is the technical term.
Job done. The chase is over, Susan. I'm going to suggest it's 5 past the hour. I'm going to suggest we take a 10-minute break just so I can think about where we go next. And back at the table at quarter past the hour, and hopefully by then Will have joined us. Okay. See you in a bit. Okay, we're back from our break, and our final player has joined us. Will, do the introductions before I describe where we're at. So
Hi.
Tell us about yourself and Jimmy.
Hi, I'm Will. Pronouns are he, him, as are those of my character Jimmy Rook, whose name I forgot to change in Zoom now because last week I forgot to change it back when I joined my team meeting, which was funny. Yes, Jimmy is a criminal turned kind of professional vampire hunter at this point. Easily has the longest kill streak in Supernaturals of anybody in any organization or whatever. He made a promise to get this young girl, Eva Harfitch, out of trouble, and luckily his team has pulled through in his absence.
Spot on. So Susan, with it appears that Sophia has been badly wounded, incapacitated, our former driver, because Jim has dropped from the rest of the series. But I'm guessing the team will direct you to their safe house, the details of which are to the far right of Jimmy Rook, this former storage space or apartment above a budget clothing store in a fairly rundown part of Bucharest. Or do you want to do the interrogation in the van, folks? I'm curious. Cam, what do you think? Interrogate in the back of the van or take Karine Axelsson back to your safe house?
Let's do the van so we don't take him back to somewhere that we want to keep safe for now.
Okay, so back of the van, interrogation of Karine Axelsson. The way this works is that each of you, if you want to be involved in the interrogation, tell me the approach you take, and then in effect you roll to investigate to see what Karine Axelsson may tell you. I'm going to leave Susan till last because that's when your insight might apply by joining the dots on what comes out. I think we know Cam Deschamps is a cold woman. So Cam, tell me what kind of approach we see you taking to Karine Axelsson. And in fact, what do we when we cut to the back of the van and the interrogation, in what kind of situation is Karine Axelsson?
She's had her hands and feet zip tied and has been pushed back in a corner behind the passenger seat where we can keep an eye on her. I'm going to, obviously I'm not very good at interrogating people, but that's not going to stop me. I'm going to tell her that we dispatched her associates at GSV, and that she perhaps should cooperate if she doesn't want to end up like them.
This sounds like you're trying to put the frighteners on her.
Yes.
You don't have that authoritarian. You are a nasty woman. We know this. Everything you've told us tells us that. So I think this is just the grey dice, unless you want to include a stress dice.
Now my stress is high enough. 2.
2, okay. So on a 2, you get the basic information. And I think what she will tell you is, as soon as they find out that I've been taken, GSV will go up in a fireball. The other good thing about 1 to 3 is that I get to mark heat as we perhaps cut to. We already know that the Bucharest police are a kind of sieve in terms of information, and I think that we'll have someone describing the van and maybe people associated with the van over the telephone to the conspiracy, and that explains why heat has gone up. So yeah, she seems quite cocky to you, Cam. It's like, yes, I am just but a cog in the great machine. I will tell you nothing. Yelena, what? No, let me go Jimmy next, and then Yelena, because Yelena is always the good cop. Oh, Yelena, do you want to be the good cop first, or somebody else?
I mean, sure. It's going to be a strange good cop smelling of cordite with, with blood splatter all over my otherwise pristine SWAT,
You peel off that balaclava, you're a completely different person than the one who murdered everybody in that car.
even if you are stripping down a light machine gun as you interrogate her.
Yeah.
So what line do you want to take? What are you interested in questioning her about?
So yeah, I mean, like, I'm just listening to this patter on and her kind of, not quite villainous monologue is, but I'm sitting on the ammo box. I'm field stripping the light machine gun just in case we need it. And I smirk at this. I kind of pulled off the helmet and the face mask and the usual stuff. Just a cog. So, like, when they cut you off and kill your family and come to kill you, who do you think would be in your corner?
Let's have you roll to investigate with your persuasive expertise, because you seem to be offering her help.
I'm allowing her to jump to the conclusion that we might be those people who would help her.
Yeah. Well, let's see if she jumps.
Let's see.
A stress dice if you want it.
No.
Oh, this is going so well for me. Well, I will mark heat. And really, you struggle to crack this facade. All she's doing is all the records of her work at GSV will go up in flames, and you'll never be any the wiser. But my masters will. My masters will complete their project. The bloodline will be found. Okay. Jimmy.
I would like to, look very distasteful as I come in wearing my shirt and tie, and I sit down opposite, and I slide open my MI6 warrant card, which may have been 5-fingered from a certain acquaintance of mine and then altered out. But I'd like to sit down and say, now listen, Dr. Axelsson, it's been a rather unpleasant business, but you've got great work, and we've got great work, and I work for powerful masters too, with an interest in this area. And I'd like to make the whole, why don't you work for a slightly different aspect of the conspiracy? As I drop the name Edom as well, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think you are leveraging your disguise expertise. Quick change from fetal ball in back of van to
I mean,
sophisticated.
I'm not keen on the feet of all in the back of the van things. But,
I was winging it. What can I tell you?
yeah. I would perhaps rather say that, you know, when I jumped back into the van, I just didn't have time and I just got left behind at the party, right? Like, because I didn't do anything in the van. I just was there. Like, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So with expertise, stress dice if you'd like it. And so far, all those sixes people have been rolling are beginning to pay me back.
Yes. I will roll the stress dice. That is a 5 on the normal dice.
Okay, so the basic information is that she does drop into villainous monologue. All my role is to analyze the data and to find the people that have the marker, the Van Helsing marker, because it's all about finding the descendants. Once we have them, everything will fall into place. That's for nothing. Now, ask me a question or build a bit of detail in that we could agree.
Obviously, the big question is, what's the significance of the descendants? And I think that I'd like to approach that with dropping in some of my knowledge of the bloodlines and the Orphic counterparts. And I think you'll find that we're well aware of the significance of bloodlines, Doctor. Everything comes from the blood. Just ask your friends in Greece. Maybe all of their work went for nothing. We'd be such a shame. We could just work together here, you know.
I don't think that's enough. I think because all you're doing is you're knitting this into the existing conspiracy board. Do you want to ask me something else about this bloodline?
Oh, well, no, but specifically, that's what I am asking. I'm saying, like, what's this? I'm trying to pressure on that one. Yeah, and I'm only saying that to sort of convey that Jimmy is, giving the impression that he knows everything in detail, whereas actually only knows surface level stuff, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
How do you think that someone, a lawyer, a doctor, how do you think someone like that could have confronted one of the greatest vampires of all time?
I think he would have just given his best. Wasn't British, of course, but the Dutch, they have their strong points. Made of stronger stuff back then, I'm told.
Yes, made of vampiric stuff. You think Van Helsing is a hero?
I thought he was a killer.
The AVH is a separate line of vampires.
Okay.
And the conspiracy is interested in seeing if they can recreate that bloodline from the diluted genetic markers from that extended family.
It's almost like a naturally occurring Seward serum,
I don't know. I don't know. That might be a next step on.
Interesting.
So that's what you get from Karine Axelsson so far. Susan, how do you want to come at this?
I think I look Karine in the eyes and say, smart woman like you, you have to have kept something for insurance purposes.
Let's see where that line of questioning gets you, Susan. I think this is insight or authority, take your pick, doesn't matter. I think that works. So expertise, orange dice, gray dice, stress dice, if you'd like it.
Yeah, go on then. That's a 6 on the stress dice.
Okay, well, stress is going to go up, right? because she will tell you, I think you put this together. Where has she kept a copy of her work, Susan? Where would you like that copy to be that would be sufficiently scary to push your stress up? Or worrying? That's not scary, worrying.
Can I throw that back to the table because I'm not up to speed on the whole kind of background?
Fine. Any suggestions? Cam, what are you thinking? Any way you'd like it to be? I'll go around each of you in turn. We'll see what we get from the table. Where's a place you wouldn't want to have to get it from? No, that's fine. That's fine. Yelena?
Would this be back to the villa that we have that she had left?
The Albright Villa.
Or is that
a possibility?
Is Albright the people she would be keeping it away from, right? Is that?
Well, we could worry about the politics of it later, but the Albright Villa is a possibility because that was certainly a high security location. What about Jimmy?
I can only think of Club Gadarene because I just love the first 15 minutes of Blade so much. So, like, if I can walk into a room and execute a vampire with showers of bloods all around and they go, "Oh shit, it's Rook!" Like, I'd be down for that.
Okay, what about Club Gadarene? That sounds like, because we already have we've got a picture of it, if nothing else. And we know that Eva works there. Whether she still works there, don't know. Susan, it's your question. It can boil down to you.
Yeah, Club Gadarene sounds good.
Okay, so Club Gadarene is and it kind of comes out. No one would think of looking at the club. But you still have 2 questions you can ask me on that 6. That was for nothing.
Ooh, okay.
What would you like to know about?
So, I think can I narrow down exactly where at the club and how it can be accessed, this insurance? So yeah, I'd like to drill into those details.
Okay, well, when we come to define, I'm already shaping your next operation as being about Club Gadarene. Okay, so you're going to let GSV Technologies go up in flame because you think you can get a copy of her work from the club. So I'm going to just put you've got one. You can have 2 credit on the setting up the next operation, Susan. Yeah. Okay,
fantastic.
Let's leave it at that rather than trying to speculate what it might be now. The question I have to then ask is, having wrung Karine Axelsson dry, what do you do with her? If you look at the heated intel, you have some options. Stress to call on a contact to keep the prisoner on ice until after the next op. Intel to incriminate the prisoner with a conspiracy, or intel to provide cover to reinsert. I'll be honest with you, I doubt she's going to be a mole. I think that's stretching the fiction a bit too far, because she does come across as a true believer. Jimmy?
I mean, yeah.
Oh, go on, Yelena.
I was just wondering, I mean, burning her, that middle option, is a 2-for-1 deal, right? It reduces heat as well.
I would like to I'd like to call in some favors, spend intel, and have a black bag, a British attaché or whatever, black bag her and take her away or whatever, right? But like very loudly, and so that like the conspiracy then draws all of its attention towards, shit, one of our guys has been turned by 6. Like, what's going on? Ring up our guys in Edom or whatever, right? Like, get it. Make them paranoid against their own selves, kind of stuff.
Okay, so spend intel to say how they incriminate the prisoner. So who's going to spend the intel so can then say how?
I will spend the intel if, like,
okay.
Yeah.
So what do we see on screen, Jimmy, when to explain how Karine ends up on the run from the conspiracy?
I just smile at her and I pick up my phone and I say, I did mean to get a burner, an encrypted one, but needs must. It was too everything went too fast, and I just ring up and I go, "Oh, hi. Yes, put me through to Westminster, please. Yes, I've got someone to bring in for you. They're happy to talk. They've given us everything that they need. In fact, they've been longing to come in from the cold, it seems, and they're going to give us everything that we need to take control. Oh, don't worry. Our friends inside will be very happy with this."
And you can see her eyes going larger as she sees that you are setting her up. And then what? You just cut her hands and legs free and push her out the back of the van.
I think it's if I can do that with the spending of the intel, right, is that somebody somewhere does, some group of operators from the British Embassy or whatever does actually grab her at the airport, and they very publicly walk her onto a plane,
Fine.
Perhaps there's like an unmarked car watches them cross the thoroughfare, right?
And so I've reduced heat by 1. So the conspiracy is now focused a little bit on her rather than all on you. So that's neat. Let's cut back to the safe house. I think, now going to run across the which member of the team do you care most and least about? Because I just want to nail that down before we get any further. So let me start with Yelena. Do you have a view as to which of the current team? Sophia is in a private hospital somewhere in Bucharest. I'm sure she'll be fine. Or a vet, I don't know. Where do you go when you have somebody shot illegally? We're still not quite certain who took the shot at her, by the way. But that's a loose end. Yelena, which of the team do you care most about? I stress most, not to the beyond all else or not at all, but most and least, if you were rank ordering them.
Let me think. I wonder if it might be Cam that Yelena cares most about.
What is it you like about her?
Well, I mean, like might be too strong a word. Admire,
respect.
Yeah. I think we are the kind of people who are willing to do very unpleasant things to achieve our goals. And then I think, I don't know, let me know what you think, Maury, but if maybe we've had a chance to talk about the people that anchor us, does it make sense that we've learned a little bit about our sisters, and maybe that has kind of a connection as well.
Don't fill too much in, because you might want to use a seek relief from the horror to do some of that. Yeah. So fine, that's great. Let's go to Susan. Susan, you've seen least of the team, so I appreciate it's a tough question. If you want to defer for a bit, I'm happy for you to defer. Equally, I'm happy for you to take a pick.
No, I think the thing that jumped out immediately was maybe Jimmy, and maybe it's a kind of criminal mastermind versus detective kind of classic kind of love-hate rivalry, kind of I was pursuing Jimmy was evading me kind of.
Again, don't fill in too much detail. You may have a chance to do that shortly, but
he's very shocked that you think of him as a mastermind.
So yeah, just put Jimmy as the one you care least. Oh, is it most or least? I wasn't quite certain.
No, most.
Okay,
because it's there's this kind of weird warped sort of respect between the detective and the criminal.
I'm with you. What about Cam? Cam, where are you thinking most? We know none of them really, but
Probably Yelena for similar reasons to.
It's like the
Similar.
poles of a hot and cold magnet. The cold poles attract. So fine, put Yelena in that cell and we'll worry about the detail later on. And Jimmy, any view? Most?
Have you chosen why Susan chose to confront the conspiracy, Lyra, or is that something that you're going to...
I haven't put it in there, I have to say, because we wanted to get started.
Yeah, it makes sense, yeah.
Do you want to, I mean, would that help?
It would help just to, because I feel like it's at the core of why are you doing this, right?
Okay.
Like,
So Susan, why did you choose to confront the conspiracy? There's a range of options and it'll then offer a subsidiary question. Anything there appeal to you?
Quite. Let's see. I think humanity. I think I never lost the sense that what I was doing as a detective was worthwhile and helped people's lives. And when I got shut down and frozen out for this, I lost my faith in the official channel, so I had to find unofficial channels to pursue the same kind of
you've answered my
goals that
question
led me.
entirely, Lyra. That is definitely the person I care most about.
Okay, Susan is who Jimmy can. Now I am going to just finish this off, Lyra. So what has Susan seen that demonstrated the conspiracies in humanity?
I think. Let me just check lines and veils because I don't want to inadvertently cross some of that. No, that's fine. I think that that I was investigating some human trafficking, and it turned out the conspiracy were using trafficked people as disposable assets.
Blood banks, love it. Yes. In fact, come back and play next year, and we'll go to that trafficking hub. And so you can fill that in as just a sentence in that cell underneath. But I am curious, what would you sacrifice to stop them then?
I think I would sacrifice myself and anyone else who has chosen this path willingly. I think I would bulk at sacrificing innocents who don't know about it, but I would not hesitate at anyone who's chosen this to put them in the line of fire.
So anyone except the innocents.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. If you can just make a note in there as an aid memoir to us all, that will be helpful. And I'll go back to Jimmy and say, well, if Susan is most, who's least?
I actually think it's Cam. I think that the coldness towards Eva is, not to reveal too much, but it's that's the vibe kind of thing. It's might be outwardly cynical, but inwardly is quite idealistic, Jimmy.
Yeah, a thin veneer of cynicism over the beating warm heart. So fine, Cam. What about you, Cam? These needn't be bilateral, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah, I was leaning Jimmy because he seems like a slimy bastard in her mind, and that she doesn't see that inner warmness as a good trait.
Yeah,
Such that she sees it.
he's slimy, and when you clear the slime away, you don't even find a cold-hearted bastard. I mean, who wants that? Okay, so Jimmy goes in there. What about you, Susan?
I think it's Cam, but for quite a different reason to Jimmy. I think for me, it's simply because you're a hacker. It's because that represents a world that I'm not really part of, and that I long for the old days where it was all purer, and it's it all seems kind of. I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to go into stereotypes and say that. I think Susan is technically proficient, but I just think she doesn't like it.
Yeah, I'll go with that. And finally, Yelena, least?
I think it's Susan. And I think it's really that Yelena thing, or sees that Susan kind of is living this dream world. She has this idea of how things used to be, maybe this is kind of her own memory of the Cold War, which wasn't much fun, but or maybe there's a little bit of prejudice, going on here, but I think it's mostly because to Yelena's point of view, it's like Susan doesn't really realize what's going on or how dangerous this is.
Okay,
which is
maybe entirely untrue, but it's a view. It's a view. Okay, so let me then go to the formal debrief. So, did the team achieve the stated objective of the operation, which I think was get the handler? And I think you have got the handler. You've got Karine Axelsson. So if you get the handler, if you succeed, tick. Did the team finish a supernatural? Tick. So that reduces heat by 2. And because you succeeded in operation, everyone reduces stress by 1. So I'll take 2 off the heat track, which puts us back at suspicious. You left sufficiently few loose ends. Well done. But everyone loses a point of stress. Downtime. Would anyone like to seek relief from the horror? Jimmy is already nodding vigorously. Jimmy, what do we see that's going to seek relief from the horror for you?
Well, first off, I obviously extend a single text message to Daria to say that she made it, kind of thing, just to so I can confess to her again if I wish to. Right, that would be the thing. I just wanted to close that off. Sorry, I'm looking on the wrong tab for the actual moves. I think I'm going to reveal something about the history with an operator.
Which the one you care least about, or the one you care most about?
Oh wait, Yelena, we used to work for the conspiracy, didn't she? Actually, yeah. You know what? I'd like to. Can I quickly just change from Cam? Sorry, to Yelena. Because I'd forgotten that aspect of you do it with the person least and most, right? So yeah, Yelena. And I think that we first encountered each other on the opposite sides, right? Like,
yeah. Sorry, Will.
As antagonists.
Can I go back to that backtracking? Mm-hmm. Is that the kind of sum total of why you care least about Yelena? Is it because she used to work for the other side, or is there something else?
I think. Sorry, just because I definitely want to have this as part of our reveal of history, so I'm working backwards from that move rather than thinking about that. Sorry. I think it is. You've turned once, maybe you'll turn again. What did you do? Like, there are lines that I wouldn't cross, and I'm sure that you would, and actively, whereas Cam's maybe just cold and willing to see things lost, but you'd do it for the right price as far as I'm concerned. But Perhaps
Does
we
that
can.
work?
So yeah, absolutely. And I'm just wondering, like, I mean, we can play into this with the kind of flashback, but
Mhm.
is it telling that Yelena is the one who kind of made sure that they got Ava out?
It's certainly complicating my initial view of you. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So perhaps. So what is it? It is
First recollection.
first recollection of them.
Reduce your stress by 1 before we start, because let's
Mhm.
just get that out of the way.
Yeah. Okay. So my stress is reduced by 1, and the first time I met you, well, I think it would have been on a, like a, perhaps in the early days of my going up against like the conspiracy, right? And you were an arm's length member of that, right? You were a weapon, a tool, right? Like an asset that they deployed against people. You weren't like in the conspiracy. Your handlers were maybe in the conspiracy, and you were like, yeah. So maybe I don't know. Did you take a shot at me like while I was like traversing Moscow, meeting a contact? Did you kill someone that I know or care about, or one of my friends, or? Because I don't want to dictate too much about like what you did for them.
I mean, do you have a scar? A bullet pucker wound on your back?
Oh yeah.
Because take a shot seems very casual. Like I'm not even, but shot you would be more like it.
Can I put a tweak in it?
Yeah.
That it's a knife wound because you had to be up close and personal enough to know it was her. And then we can have you stripping off the suit that you used for the interrogation, and we see the knife wound.
Yeah. How does that work for you, Donna? A knife wound? I like that.
Yeah. So, I mean, there must have been some reason that I left you alive.
I think it was, well, I think that the way it was is that you came at me in a, like a public space, like a hotel lobby or something. A nightclub. Yeah, you came at me in a nightclub, right? And you stabbed me, and in the fight, and the things were civilians around, security, and it was all very like pushed and, like charging. And in my recollection, like I managed to pull away as like some woman from the crowd, like, grabbed me and pulled me away, and like the civilians kind of like the Samaritans sort of helped block you, kind of stuff from this.
Let's leave the recollection at that point, and you roll the dice, and we'll see what happens from the dice roll.
Okay. That's a 3.
So 1 to 3. Say why you feel bad about the event you're remembering. You cannot use your expertise until stress goes up again, or choose to add something about your anchor to your recollection. Mark your anchor, placing them blah, blah, blah.
I think I feel bad about the event I'm remembering because I think that as I blocked that knife maybe and like, drove it away from my throat or whatever, right? It hit one of the people who was next to me, and I feel bad because, and that's perhaps one of the reasons why I can't really get past that you were just a tool, right? It's because someone did get caught in that crossfire.
Now, Donna, you will have a chance if you invoke that move to give a different perception of that recollection, or to come up with a different recollection. Yeah?
Yeah.
Does that work for you, Donna? Not to say too much, because like the way I'm imagining it is it's a world of mirrors, right? Where like you don't know why you were targeting me in this club. As far as I'm concerned, I was enemy of the state or whatever, right? And this is before you found out this shadow world of it all, kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And like, I mean, Jimmy, an informant, a criminal, it mightn't have been too surprising to anyone who knows Jimmy that he might have been caught up in this kind of thing.
Yeah, certainly, definitely was already. Yeah, entirely.
I mean, of the long list of people you killed for the Russian state, Jimmy seemed like a reasonable shot. Who wouldn't?
I would. So yeah.
Okay. So your expertise cannot be used till your stress goes up again. Let's go to Cam. Cam, do you want to seek relief from the horror?
Yes.
In what way? What do we see of Cam?
I'm gonna go with reveal some of your history with. Sounds interesting. I'm gonna go with the operative I like least, which is Jimmy.
Okay. So what's your reduce stress by 1, and then tell me what your first recollection of Jimmy is back in the day.
I'm thinking it was a joint operation between DGSE and MI6, and he was their asset for what sort of things did he do for MI6?
Oh, a bit of this, a bit of that, whatever they ask.
Sort of
Yeah.
anything
I
sketchy.
know a guy. Aye. Yeah.
Right.
He started as a burglar, I think, is probably the truth of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Breaking and entering, stealing, and things like that, but wide range of criminal contacts as well. So.
All right. Maybe it was some international organized crime thing we were targeting, and you were their guy who sort of had some contacts with them, and Cam was providing electronic surveillance and maybe also responsible for fitting you with a wire and stuff like that, and just maybe you were too into your character as your undercover role, or maybe that's just your personality, but did not make a favorable impression on her.
Great. Roll a d6, please, Cam, and we'll see how that what we do with that recollection. A 6, 4+. The other operator, so Jimmy, describes a different version of the event. They say why they are hurt by it, and they roll for stress. Or they choose to add something about their anchor to their recollection, blah, blah, blah. So no downside for Cam at this point. Pass that hot potato to Jimmy. Jimmy, which of those two options?
Well, I'm going to roll for stress and probably negate my own roll here. But
so describe a different version of the event then. What and why you're hurt by
why am I
these
hurt
recollections?
By it?
Yeah,
well, it was the feedback that this bloody wire caused when I walked into the room on his car stereo. What I had to do to get out of that.
Love it.
Yeah.
Roll for stress, Jimmy.
Oh, that's a 2, so it doesn't go up.
Everyone's a winner. Okay. Susan.
Do I get for because I got a 6, right?
Sadly, no. Not. Oh, yeah, sorry, you did. Yeah, you did. Yeah, reduce stress by an extra 1. It was really worth it. I beg your pardon. Thank you. Susan, what about you? You're only on 3 stress. I don't know if that's too many. Would you like to seek relief? I'm curious to know how this elegant older woman seeks relief from the horror.
Yes, I do choose to seek relief from the horror.
And what do we see you doing that?
Where are we in terms of heat? Because I gravitated towards behaving badly, but I kind of...
It's on the far left-hand side of the operator tab, and you're currently at the top of the suspicious track. So the next heat will move them to alarmed. You've got them all the way down from alarmed, and they could bob back into alarmed.
Would that? Oh, okay. Go.
All heat does is to alter the opposition in a operation, or give me a resource to burn to make life more difficult for you.
Okay. That makes life more interesting as well. So I think all you see, being aware of our veils here, I think this is kind of the meaningless sex bit. I think all we see is Susan knocking on and entering the door of a basement dungeon that she frequents.
Who knew? Who knew? That's a lovely 3-dimension for Susan. No, behave badly. Reduce stress by 1 and roll the dice. And I hope you get a 6 because I think that's really worth it.
Let's see. Oh,
A
that's
2.
2, unfortunately.
Your inadequacy is clear to everyone, and the other person pities you, and you are ashamed. You cannot use your expertise until stress goes up again. If you look up near the top of the sheet, there's a little expertise with a drop down. Currently says available. Use the drop down to say that it cannot be used until stress goes up again. And finally, Yelena, would you like to seek relief from the horror?
Yeah, I think revealing some of our history together is the way to go.
With who?
So it can't, strangely enough, it can't be Jimmy because you know, I don't care about Jimmy one way or the other, which I don't know fits in some strange way. I think maybe about Cam.
The person you care most about.
Yeah, I think
reduce stress by 1 before you forget, because I will.
I think what makes most sense to me is because we are like usually at very different ends of the operation, and certainly if we're not working in the same organization and outside the conspiracy as well. So I wonder if Cam would have passed on some intelligence to me when this kind of the group of operatives figured out that the conspiracy was going to target Yelena. So maybe passing on a warning to her, maybe even as a precursor to recruitment.
Ah, yeah, that's cool. That's cool. Does that work for Cam, Murray?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, so let's have you roll the dice and see where that leads us. A 2.
Another
Say
2.
why you feel bad about this, Yelena, this event you're remembering. You cannot use expertise, or find a way to weave your anchor into this recollection and mark them instead. I hear the trundling of a bus.
I think I will feel bad about it instead of throwing my sister under a bus. I think I kind of I won't say I ignored it, but I thought it was a ruse. You know, someone had got some intelligence on me and just, you know, smoke and mirrors. It's like classic recruitment tactic, just to turn you against your people, right? So
when in fact it was well meant.
When in fact it was well meant and accurate. So you know, I think you know, she had the chance to walk out the door and maybe have someone waiting for her, but didn't take it and got into a lot of trouble when they did come for her.
Fine. So your expertise is unusable until your stress goes up again, Yelena. Yeah. It is 2 minutes past the hour. I'm going to suggest that we take a break until 10 past the hour. Okay, I will pause the recording. See you in 8 minutes. Okay, back from our final break. I've just been telling the players that I've updated the details that they got from Karine Axelsson. So we currently have leads that the AVH designation that this all started with appears to be a genetic marker for mortal descendants of the extended family of Edinburgh van Helsing. Axelsson clearly believes that the Van Helsing genetics represent a lost vampire lineage of some kind that the conspiracy would wish to recreate. The popular view of Van Helsing is that he's a fictional hero, but what if he had vampiric powers in a mortal shell? Finally, Axelsson kept a secret copy of her files at Club Karine, which she thinks the conspiracy don't know about. It's not quite clear how Count Throndal ties into this, but maybe that's for another time.
Alan, can I add something to
You
this? Remember when we were rolling nothing but sixes, when I infiltrated the security, I got handed Axelsson's briefcase.
You did. You have Axelsson's briefcase. Thank you. So let me put the team has Axelsson's briefcase. Well remembered. As a tentative operational objective, I've put retrieve Axelsson's files. That seems what this is about. We can refine that before we go active. Who or what is the focus of the operation? Well, it's kind of Karine Axelsson still, in the sense that it's stashed copies of her files at the club. The where, I've put Club Gadarene, because that seems to be the obvious place to look. So we do know that Susan got made some used insight to kind of draw some threads together. So what do you want to know about Susan before I do a formal kind of round the table to have people run investigative scenes? Because you have a bonus left over from the debrief that we said we'd wait.
Yes.
What do you want to know more about or say more about?
I think I want to know more about where in the club this is, and specifically, I think while I was interrogating Karine, I would have immediately kind of like followed up on the area of kind of like, how did you keep it hidden right under their noses?
Fine. So let me give you one answer to that. So where I'm going to say Club Gadarene, it has a secure I.E. criminal component away from the public areas. So there is somewhere away from those public areas which is more secure than you would otherwise expect. So I'm going to give you that as your first answer. Do you want more detail than that?
I might save that for the investigation because I'm not sure how much detail I'll be able to get from Karine. I think
Insight is a wonderful thing.
I think I'd like to know kind of what format is it in? Kind of, is it a hard drive? Is it a laptop? Is it printouts? Is it like what physically are we looking for?
Yeah, I think it's worth at this point just highlighting that Karine Axelsson is a woman in her 60s. And I think that she distrusts digital media just as Susan does. And so I think that what you have concluded is that it is likely to be a non-digital copy of her notes. ... That is something I think that your insight would give you on the basis of having interacted with her and the circumstances. So that's all for nothing. Now, the way this runs is, what I'm thinking is that we'll run round investigation, and then that will probably take us close to a place where we'll kick off the operation in our final session. But is anyone keen to start in terms of either framing an investigative scene that might give them some more information, or thinking, no, I want to hold off for some fictional positioning by having a preparation scene just before the operation starts? Yelena, what's your thinking? Investigate or prepare?
Yeah, I'm angling towards maybe holding off for some fictional positioning maybe see if Ava could infiltrate Yelena into the club with her. You know, the boss is missing, so it mightn't be too difficult.
Okay, so you're more interested in fictional positioning at the start than anything else right now. I will come back in and check in with you
Sure.
before we kick off. What about Susan? Are you interested in knowing more before you go in, or having a preparatory scene that would give you some fictional positioning at the very start of the operation?
I feel like just for kind of like hitting kind of story beats, I feel like I've done a lot of investigating already, so I'll go for fictional positioning.
Okay, I will come and check in with you. What about you, Mari? Investigate or prepare?
I would generally lean prepare for get into a computer system or anything like that she can do.
Okay, so that sounds like a bit of investigation in advance.
Yeah, yes.
Okay,
yeah,
I'll come
find
back
out
round
what
to
there
you.
is.
And finally, Jimmy, investigate or fictional positioning through a preparatory scene?
I'll investigate, and I think
Okay.
I'd like to investigate what's the threat we're going to face there.
Well, let's start with that one then, Jimmy. What is the threat the operators will face? What level of threat do you want to set?
I'm open to input, but I kind of am feeling nameless organized crime pawns, right? Because this is a criminal underworld place, and
It is.
I'm viewing more quantity over quality as the issue here.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. Every second person on the dance floor has a compact SMG.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fine. Well, yeah. Select that one. That's fine. I can always, use a complication to throw something heavier at you.
Mm-hmm.
And let me go. Given Cam is going to do some investigation, before we do the detail, what are these nameless organized crime pawns doing? And there is a drop down that says choose what they are doing, which I think now, does work.
Yeah.
What are you thinking, Cam?
So I think providing security. Have we said what sort of thing they're running out of the club before?
I think we speculated that it was a kind of legal club, so it wasn't at all dodgy. It wasn't, vice drugs necessarily.
Right, it was money laundering.
But yeah, more likely to be money laundering. So it's a front for an operation rather than being an operation, a criminal operation, I think. Though, undoubtedly, you could get drugs here if you looked.
Then maybe they're searching for somebody if it's an above board club.
Yeah. Because there must be a lot of interest in what happened to Dragos Albescu, I would imagine.
Yeah.
That's within the mob. And then somebody further up the conspiracy is thinking, we're chasing Axelsson. Did she kill Dragos? Where is he? Yeah, so I think looking for, let's have a look for Dragos. Spot on. So with that in mind, then that's all for nothing. Jimmy, frame me an investigative scene. How are you going to use your expertise to get some juice on this lot?
I think it is a case of hitting up criminal contacts and getting the skinny on this mob, on the Albescu organization.
Fine. Fine.
What are the connections? What would we expect? How what's the disposition? Anything that
Okay, we'll kind of frame that for me as a place, a person, something.
We're in Bucharest. It is a the back room of a busy dive bar, where a huge man nods Jimmy through and sneers at him as he goes past, and Jimmy gives him a wink, pats him on the back as he goes, and then he sits down opposite a man with a big gut, who's passes across vodka and an envelope across to Jimmy, and we have a bit of a all contacts kind of criminal underworld thing, and you to Kasha,
I like that. I like that. So you are rolling with expertise because you have that larcenous
I'm
criminal
not
background.
because of my.
Oh, no, you can't.
thing.
No, no.
So yeah, but
Oh, so just a grey one and the
Yeah.
stress dice if you'd like it.
I would obviously like a stress dice, but clearly, the reason I can't use my expertise is because we're going into a club again. And last time I was in one of these, some Russian woman came and nearly stabbed me. And she's there tonight.
And she's going to be there. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a 3, so my stress goes up.
Yeah. Expertise comes back online, but that is the bare minimum amount of information. So what can I tell you that is the bare minimum amount of information about this? I think that the bare minimum I can give you is that the Albescu family, mob, whatever you want to call them, they are trying to go, they appear to be trying to go legit. And they're trying that they are making connections to some Americans in an effort to go legit. Some very rich Americans, bankers maybe, don't know.
Okay.
All right. And heat goes up by 1.
Is that big guy at the bar, sneers at Jimmy again as he walks out, and then starts talking to other similar Albescu perhaps associated people.
Yeah. Cam, you were interested in doing some investigation as well.
Yes.
So what do we see you doing in terms of investigation? How are you going to come at it?
So she wants to find out more about the computer systems, security systems that this place has. She's going to. So she probably starts, by looking through public photos of the place to try to get a read on, like, are there cameras installed? Does anybody have photos of, like, anywhere else that might indicate what's going on? And then sort of goes from there. If she can't get enough from anything else, maybe she'll go to the club and see what she can see there, pretend to just be a club goer.
I'm just going to head you off on that.
All
if
right.
you go to the club, that's fine, but I will increase heat by 1.
Okay,
if you go on site before the operation.
Yeah, not that.
I mean, maybe, check with the city council. They must have records on data lines and stuff like that. Is this an unusually broad data, connection, stuff like that?
Right.
So
what
research.
have them installed? Yeah. What other building permits have been pulled and everything?
So I think research would count here as expertise. So gray and orange, stress dice if you want it. You won stress. Come on.
But I don't need it. I rolled a 6.
Of course you did. Of course you did. So 6, this goes swimmingly well. This place has got much more data coming in and out of it than a nightclub needs. You get that for nothing.
Interesting.
Right? So there is clearly some kind of significant piece of fiber optics coming in and out of this place. Now for the 6, you get to ask me 2 questions. What do you want to know?
All right.
Or do you want to create some fiction here and tell me stuff about this data network or this system?
I guess she wants to know how long this has been going on there. Like, has it the whole time they've been the Albescu? Balance been run by the Albescus, or is it a more recent thing? Or, like,
I mean, tell me what because where's the meat in that? How does that help you? What are you wanting to leverage that into?
That's a good question. I guess she wants to know, like, whether this is more likely to be tied up with their going legit recently that Jimmy found out, or whether it's been an ongoing thing, whether with their organized crime endeavors or their conspiracy endeavors, or...
I think it dates from efforts to go legit. The influx of American money. Okay.
Sounds good.
But you also get me to ask me another question. Now, you did ask me one at the start, which is about security systems.
Yes. Yeah. She wants to know.
Yeah, I can tell you that it has cameras and significant security between the public and private. And by private, I mean the criminal rather than just VIP rooms.
Where the stuff is stored.
Private areas of the club. Okay? Does that seem fair?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's our initial setup. Now, anyone can spend intel to either ask me another question or add some more detail. Is anyone interested? Jimmy.
Sorry.
Go on, Susan.
No, Tyra, you go first because I've done this before. So
I was actually just going to ask, how do we obtain intel? Because that might determine how willing I am to spend it.
If you roll a 6.
Okay.
When you're taking an action, 6 will always give you some intel. It usually comes with a stress roll, but nothing's for free.
Okay. I think I'm going to leave it for now.
Okay. Always worth having one in hand, I tend to advise. And with that in mind, Jimmy, you've got one in hand.
I have, but I'm only on 3 stress at the moment, so it's I don't need that get out of jail free card.
Okay.
So I'm going to spend that one, and I would like to actually declare an obstacle.
Oh, go ahead. Thank you, whoever reconnected those names to the operator sheet. I don't know where that link had gone. Thank you.
Always.
And I think I would like to see Jimmy gaining his access to breaking and entering for us, basically, like inserting the teams. And I don't know if that's maybe like a walled off door on a building next door that we have to break down or something, but I want to do find that door that lets us get into the secure areas without all having to be inserted into the general populace and work our way in.
Okay,
right? We can go heavier if we need to.
So what Jimmy is going to have to gain access into the private area of the club without going through the club. Yeah.
Secret and break in a secret.
Yeah.
Break in the back door, basically.
Fight. Somehow you're going to need to kind of do something like that. Okay, we can deal with that. Is there anyone else who wants to spend intel either to add to the detail of the briefing, or as Will just did for Jimmy, to declare an obstacle? For every obstacle that you declare, I will lose a complication that I can throw at you. So it's about whether you want to spend intel to know more about what's going to go on, i.e. something you would look cool doing. I'm not sure who's got much to spend. Cam's sitting on 3 intel.
Yeah, maybe I should spend.
Or are you thinking that's enough to get a supernatural from 0 to vulnerability in 1 step, which is a not inconsiderable option.
Yeah. Because I don't have any good ideas for this.
Okay. So stick rather than twist. Okay. Yelena, you're sitting on 2. Interested in hanging on or spending some?
I'm going to hang on. I think I'm going to hang on.
And I will come back to Susan just to check in. Now you know a bit more about that. You content to hang on to it?
Yes, I have an idea for Preparatory Scene, but I don't know when that comes in.
Fine. Okay. So that is all you are going to know before the operation starts. Yeah. So let's talk about Preparatory Scenes then. So what idea have you got? What kind of fictional positioning do you want when the operation opens? Because for Jimmy and Cam, that is going to be outside the club somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what does Susan want to fictional positioning does Susan want?
I think that we see Susan making inquiries at the club or ringing up the club, kind of, if not necessarily going to the club, inquiring about booking a VIP lounge for a private event.
Very cool.
So I think we want what I want to get out of this is access to at least a semi kind of private space that we can operate from within the club itself.
Okay. So this may not be a back door for Jimmy, it may be a side door. Okay. So and what approach do you take? Because if you can spin this against your expertise, you will get to roll the grey dice and the orange dice.
Well, I won't, because I can't use my expertise.
Oh, so you can't. Oh my. Right. So it's just the grey dice and the stress dice if you want it.
Given that I need stress to get my expertise back, then yes, I do.
That is the you have identified the core mechanic in that.
Okay, so wrong one.
Oh,
that is a 4.
Sadly, the stress is not the highest dice. So you get success. So you will start on site in a private space in the club. If you want to make a note in the other details as they emerge, we'll know where we're kicking off from. Yeah, on that operation tab. Yelena, you also were interested in a preparatory scene. I just want to check in that you still want that preparatory scene, given what Susan thinks she's achieved.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's always a good idea to have some alternate routes, right? So, yeah, I think I will go to the preparation, but maybe with a nod to Jimmy, it won't be alongside Ava, but we're leaving Ava behind, and like she will have called to the club to say she's sick, and a friend of hers is gonna fill in for her.
Okay, and so does this turn into an interview, Yelena?
I think it turns into a show up, and we don't have, well, Dragos isn't around, so people shrug and say, just come in. I'm sure it'll be fine.
That's what you're after. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to work, and so it is your charm when you turn up on the door, really, that gets you through.
Yeah, and
I'm the girl Ava sent.
Yeah, and I wonder, like, if we maybe seeing her in clubbing clothes gives Jimmy a bit of deja vu, right? It's like
just wanting to milk that bit of flashback.
Yeah, exactly.
Fine. Well, I think then the expertise will apply if you've got access to it, because I
won't be able to use it.
Oh, so doesn't matter. Your grey dice, stress dice, if you'd like it.
Yeah, let's see if we can pump that stress.
Strange how at this point stress becomes, oh, I want more stress.
Okay, that's a 6, but no stress.
Okay, so this goes perfectly. So you will be one of the dancers, scantily clad, dancing around on the podium. That's what Ava did. But do you want an extra benefit? And if so, what would you like it to be for that 6?
I mean, I wonder if one of Dragos's lieutenants has, or I have caught their eye, maybe he says to come up to his private area later on, which is like inside the kind of criminal rooms.
I think that's a big ask, but
Okay.
let's have you favored of Marco.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So favored of Marco, bracket Dragos's lieutenant. Make a note of that somewhere so we don't forget about it. You rolled a 6, so you get to mark intel.
Yeah.
But also, Marcos, you just about at the top of his neck here, you notice he's got a tattoo that relates. It shows that he used to work as a proxy for the Russians. So it is possible that he has Russian intelligence contacts.
Yeah.
Roll for stress, please.
So I just rolled a 5 on that. So
up it goes.
Yeah.
Let's hope that he doesn't bump into a Russian intelligence contact at the club tonight. A couple of loose ends before we finish then. If you go down to load and gear, clear all your gear. None of that is relevant. The only thing that did happen last time was because you declared that light machine gun, I am going to mark the single gear benefit at the safe house as heavy weapons. So you can have anything marked with a heavy tag. Anything else will require a call and a contact. All of you start out light loaded. What I'm interested is whether you want to be light loaded when the operation starts, or whether you want higher load. We will remember that Susan has booked the room at the club, so Susan will be in that room. You can't take anybody with you. They will have to get into the club themselves to get to your room, but that's fine. I would allow, Susan, for you to be more heavily encumbered, because maybe you brought, maybe catering was shipped in. Maybe there are some catering trolleys and crates that have arrived, okay? So, but if you are light loaded, you are quicker than people and you pass as just a member of the public. If you are heavy loaded, you would normally be a fully equipped professional on a serious mission. Medium is somewhere between the two. So I'm curious, Yelena, as a dancer, you are not going to have much in the way of, holster space.
Yeah, so, I guess my knapsack is stowed, backstage or whatever the equivalent is, but I'm sure I have a knife.
Oh, yeah, look, all I'm saying to you is I think light loaded is probably the top end of what is going to be convincing.
For sure.
The detail we'll worry about. Quite what's stuck in that long boot, we'll discover later on.
Although, as usually in these situations, 3 is also a light machine gun, so.
What about, I'm going to come back to Susan last, because yours is conceivably the most complicated one. Cam, what about you? If you were going to walk into the club as a civilian, that's light loaded. You can make it more difficult for yourself by being medium loaded, because people don't tend to go clubbing with, a decent sized backpack.
Yeah. I like the ability to have more gear, though.
Well, you see, it could be that Susan can cover that if you can get to that room.
Yeah.
Susan becomes our quartermaster. Q, in fact.
Yeah. I think I'll go with light loaded and she can cover any extra.
Jimmy, what are you thinking?
I'm thinking medium, but I was wondering if I was to take heavy, could I then be perhaps bringing all the rest of the gear?
I think the challenge for that is how that, if you had fictional positioning that gave you an excuse for that, I wouldn't have a problem, but you haven't.
Well, I mean, it would be as I break in, I'm carrying a big bag, wouldn't it? I suppose, but I'll go with medium load. Medium
Okay.
load it is.
Okay. That'll mean that I will check more often.
Yes, well,
Getting in and getting across the club.
I do have the skills for it. So
You do.
Yeah.
And of course, you can pick any disguise you like to begin in. Susan, are you thinking light, medium, or heavy? How much catering did you order for this?
I'm thinking heavy, and I'm thinking perhaps it's not just catering. Perhaps it's also maybe there's things that look like kind of roulette wheels, like casino type games that kind of perhaps have hidden compartments in them. And I
anything that you want. You go heavy loaded, Susan. You convinced me. I'd have gone with just containers of sandwiches. But no, you could have a roulette wheel, you could have a portable one-armed bandit, anything you like. So yeah, heavy loaded. Fine. I think I'm going to call it at that point because I think we're set up for an immediate start next time. I would like a quick stars and wishes if that's okay. Can I? I'll go left to right. Donna, any stars, any wishes for next time?
Yeah, I think the kind of standout stuff for me this week was the recollecting where we first met. The kind of strange relationships between all of these operators who, I don't know, love hate maybe a bit too strong, but hate.
I think it says somewhere in the rules, they may not all be friends.
Yeah. And that is an understatement of the century.
Great. Any wishes for next time?
Yeah, now I'm wondering if we have an opportunity to seek relief from the horror in the middle of an operation, when there's that quiet moment,
Absolutely. I think it says at the top of that page, if you can find a narrative space, a fictional bit of space to have a flashback to something, it's fine.
I mean, if there is a moment foretold by today's session, it is Jimmy and Yelena meeting on the dance floor.
Yeah, that would almost be worth spending intel for. But no, that's great. No, I like that. Then working across, Lyra, any stars, any wishes?
So yeah, stars to first of all kind of integrating my character so nicely into the whole game. I really liked how everyone kind of enabled that for me, and it was really nice. Kind of it was a really good experience coming in second session. It's really smooth, really great. And I'd like to also add a star. I'd like to also add a star for the character keeper, because one of the things which made it such a smooth experience was how well that character keeper is designed, and the dice room as well. Like it was really clear where all the mechanical functions were, and they flowed from the design, and you could just see that straight off. So yeah, star for that.
I'm going to stop tinkering soon. Thank you. Any wishes for next time? Last time, finale.
Haha. Ooh. I think I just want lots of cool operator type stuff. Like just lots of cool vignette moments.
Okay, I shall seek to provide opportunities for cool operator stuff. Thank you for the detail on that one. That's always helpful. I appreciate it. Mari, any stars, any wishes?
I think stars for Susan's appearance, just nonchalantly coming in and clubbing the guy with the pistol. And
Yeah, it was a cool entry, wasn't it? You know,
Yeah.
the XJS just rolls up, gets out, wallop. That's what the British police are like. Any wishes for next time, Murray?
Some more extended action than we got in this operation. More peril, more fighting.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's coming, but
One will seek to deliver. And finally, Donna, stars. Finally, Will, any stars, any wishes?
Yeah, I think it was missing the first hour, and still we all hit the ground running. I thought it was really good, and building the operation and our interrogation, and the different. Especially, I love the flashbacks a lot, and our little, who do we care about most and least was great. Wishes, I guess maybe like Frondel got tested by GSV Technologies as well, and he went treatment there, and she's got the files from Thingy, so maybe I'd like to sort of tie that one together through whatever we find here.
Close the loop on Frondel.
Yeah, or at least pull another lead in that direction. And I'd love to do what like Cam said for the Mary said for the said for the action. Like I'd like to do a little bit of the infiltration kind of through the thing, but I would also love to be in the when it all goes pear-shaped kind of moment a bit longer.
Fine.
My final one is I had an idea for what I could maybe have to do to gain access into the private area of the club.
Go on.
Using the VIP room that Susan's got, because that VIP room that she's reserved is perfect, because in the private bathroom area, there is you remove some tiles, you can get into a crawl space that's part of the old design for the building that goes through into the area that's now not on the blueprints of the updated map.
You write that down.
Yeah.
Because I will forget. Add it to the cool moment.
Yeah, I've added it into there, yeah.
Great. Yeah. Okay. Stars for me. Yeah, thank you so much, Lyra, for stepping up and stepping in so seamlessly. It wasn't difficult for that reason. Yeah, also, thanks to all of you for engaging with that kind of reveal some of your history together. I love that mechanic, and I like to see what people do with it, and that was very cool. At one point I did feel I was afraid that Jimmy was going to get the rough end of the stick, but it ended up like everyone was on a winner. So that's it. Wishes, yes, I want all hell to break loose in Club Gadarene. Crowds of innocent victims, supernaturals, guys with compact submachine guns. It's Bucharest. It's nighttime. Go for it. So I will see you then, folks. Let me just stop the recording.